Jimbo. Who's Jimbo?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Hang on, who else is John? Hang on. Hang on. It's just right. We're now, so I'm just trying to work out who has just joined us. Right. Okay. Right. All right. So I'm just gonna sign in from the other device now. Right. Rich has joined us 4 times tonight. Oh God, I don't know what's going on. I'm getting stressed. I am. Right. Okay. Right. Hang on a minute. Oh, Houston has a little bit of a problem, guys. we do have a little bit of a problem at the minute. And there I am.
Is re-entry going to fail?
The problem is, right. The problem is everything is set up on the new device, right, and something's not transferred over, right. So yeah, we'll just see what's happening. Right, hang on a minute. Can I just make a comment, right? Why have we got 2 Richards?
We can't see 2 Richards. Me, Goff, Henry.
I got 2 Richards.
Does that mean he pays double fees?
Jimbo.
I hope so. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We do have a
Yeah, it's all right.
little bit of a problem.
We'll knock it off now.
Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
I got a new camera and it doesn't seem to work. I got no audio on it for some reason.
Yeah, but can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can. I could before, but you couldn't hear me.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop now.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Do you know what? Right, I do have a cunning plan. Right, I'm just gonna do something quickly. I'm just gonna. There's a little problem which I'm gonna solve now. Right. Okay. Right. So we'll get started. In a moment. Whilst I found the other doodah. I thought this was all working, but it's not. Right. So okay. So we're gonna get started anyway. We'll go through the bits and pieces. Bill, any news from you this week?
Nothing. Sorry.
Okay. Right. That's not going to be helpful because I was hoping you'd have a bit of news for us. Right. Any news from you, Richard?
Oh yes, I have.
Nothing from me.
Right. Goff.
No news.
Right, I'm hoping Bill's got something because I'm just in the process.
I have actually. What? I have actually, Carl. Something that Henry told us at the end of
give it to us, Bill.
Iron tools. Oh, sorry, bronze tools.
All right, yeah.
Found in one of the old tombs being excavated. It wasn't copper. It was a bronze. I can't remember which tomb it was, but we getting ever closer to my theory that copper tools were not used for most of the building works in Egypt. I can't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where. Something to follow up anyway.
Oh, it would have been absolutely great if you could have told us where.
Yeah, where was it? Oh, I'll think about it.
All right then. And I do believe I've just managed to transfer everything over. Yes, it's done. We're ready to go. Right. So there's a few articles that I want us to look at tonight, and they take us to as follows. And the articles are mainly all from wonderful Henry, but Henry did send me an email about the 5,300-year-old metal bow drill that we mentioned last week, right? And you did send me some additional information, didn't you, Henry?
I did. Yes, it's composition.
Yeah, and I am gonna turn to your email now, and I'm gonna read that out. And here we go. So what we're gonna do? We will go on to share, and we will get onto the screen, and we'll get that image from the article that we had last week online now, and hopefully that's going to work extremely well. And we're going to type it. It's quite easy to find. To 5,300 year old drill.
What was it? 4,000.
Read out position. The composition which is in this email. Oh, never mind. We'll just go straight to the email. That's not coming up. So email there. Right. So this is from Harry. It says a 5,300-year-old Egyptian bow drill recently reanalyzed by.
He's gone.
Oh.
Basically, the metal contains arsenic, nickel, lead, and silver, an unusual hardened copper alloy. The drill's durability for boring through wood.
Hang on, silver used in the tool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Silver is soft.
Advanced mix.
Where are you, Carl? Come on.
Are you hearing?
Yeah, we can't see you.
Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah.
But we've lost visual.
So you should have. Yeah, but you.
No, you're talking.
Can you hear me?
Can again.
7:49, 18:12.
Houston has a little bit of a problem. Oh, for technology, right? Okay. So you can't.
Cannot see you.
Oh God.
You are fixing on Jimbo at the moment. You can see it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I did. Right. Okay. So, are you? Yeah. Nobody said that. For God's sake. Right. So look at this mixture that I got on the screen, right? And it's maybe all of this coming together to make something really.
All we can see is Jimbo. Oh, he's gone again.
Jimbo's gone. Jimbo's left the building.
What a shambles.
Time for a refund.
Yeah.
That's a point, isn't it? Yeah.
Money back.
Hey, Henry, you try. You just try. Oh, dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Reload this.
Guys, I do believe you couldn't hear any of the word. What we're going to have to do, we had a problem last night. I'm going to transfer my technology over something that we haven't used for a while. That I've got step on the technology. It's not going to, so I'm just going to have to do this verbal, which is going to be that's the only. Let's just crack on with my default, because we've got a military stuff going on in West Wales at this minute. It's affecting all our transmission stuff. So we had this last night. So I'm just going to try and get onto the other device now. Here we go, starting, and we're going to crack on. Right, start. I do apologise. We've because we've got a military exercise going on at this minute. It's just knocking out everything. So so this is the technology that we used to use a while back. So I'm just coming back to it. It's a lot more reliable. And so, Bill, your responses to what Henry said about the tool that was found in Egypt, the drill bit.
Well, I can't believe that silver was used.
Why not?
That would be reserved for jewelry, crowns, like that. If you look at the map, Carl, south of between Aswan and Abu Simbel, there is one quarry which comprises ironstone. Just one in all of Egypt, southern Egypt.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm interested. The way 4,000 years ago was the start of the Bronze Age, yeah? And why wouldn't they be experimenting with metallurgy and mixing different metals to get different consistencies? Why wouldn't they do that?
So if we type in Egypt, and we type in Egyptian
metallurgy.
Okay. Egypt.
Which I've never done actually, but seems the obvious thing to do, isn't it?
Egyptian
metallurgy.
Egyptian iron.
No, not them. No.
We'll do Egyptian iron mining.
Yeah, do that. See what happens.
Right. So here we go. Image, and it talks that, and this is showing the deposits of iron in Egypt.
There's I remember it was further south.
Well, it's showing that there's quite a few, but if we go back to the notes, yeah, it's showing on this plan that there's quite a lot of iron in Egypt. I don't know why none of this.
Are all those dots supposed to be iron ore quarries?
I'm presuming so. Yeah, nothing's clicking up, unfortunately. But the text actually says
iron shackles.
Nothing's clicking.
Oh, okay. Iron shackles looks interesting.
Yeah, there it is. Egyptian iron mining is long.
Meteoric iron, yeah.
Evolved from the use of meteoric iron, which is something.
Oh, that's much later, isn't it? Much later, the Ptolemaic.
Yeah. Key ancient sites include the eastern deserts, so that's going over, and hematite mines. Today, Egypt possesses substantial iron ore deposits as far south as Aswan. So when you're thinking about it, there's no reason why the iron couldn't have been used.
None at all. But there's no real proof, is there?
No
real proof. Yeah, it's something which I think could be explored and researched more. It really could. Yeah.
Right, folks. The because we've been having we had a lot of problems last night with the connectivity, right? And we've just had a problem with some of the connectivity tonight. So I've just gone over to another telephone network, right, which works better. We've got military
we've got military manoeuvres going on in West Wales, and it's just affecting all the transmission stuff that we've actually got. But there's no reason why I can't just work with what I was trying to tell you tonight anyway, in regards to the research that I've got involving the likes of something which is the Colchester Falera, right? And if I show you the Colchester Falera, if I can type this in, right, then we'll look specifically at the Colchester Falera, which is in fact an amazing piece of archaeological evidence looking at Caligula, right? So I'm hoping all the stuff I've got all over the desk here, which I've not been able to put on this because there's something not connecting, and I tried to do it earlier on and it's not worked. But if I manage to get this in now, then if we can get the image on, then we're going to be pretty well into doing what I want to do tonight. It's a piece of evidence associated with Caligula. This is what I really want to get onto. So so if we type in here and we type in something known as the Colchester Falera. So we're going to see if I can get this up here, Colchester Falera, which is a vital piece of archaeological evidence. So there we go, Colchester Falera, an image. And you know what? It's there. That's exactly what I wanted. It's not that clear there, but I'm going to see, there it is, bingo. Now that's on display in the British Museum. This is a really, really interesting piece of evidence. So I've just got to. We've got. Just 1 second. 1 second. Sugar. There. Got it. Excellent. Right. So I'm going to tell you about this. Now, I told you last week that I had some information that linked Caligula with a possible invasion in Britain, right? I told you that. I promised you that I had something, right? And this is what I wanted to share with you. So the Colchester Falera is it might seem to be like a nonsensical piece of archaeological evidence, but it's not. The Colchester Falera has 4 images on it. Right, and the 4 images, the first image in the middle is Germanicus. Now, if you remember, Germanicus last week is in fact Caligula's father, and Germanicus would have become Roman emperor, but because Germanicus was a direct threat to Tiberius, Tiberius had him assassinated. So Germanicus was this general. He was like Augustus, Octavian. He was very much like Julius Caesar, and Germanicus had plans. Germanicus Caesar. So Germanicus was basically he was the beloved father of Caligula, and shown on that Falera and this Falera is not a massive object, right? But it's displayed and pride of place in the British Museum. And we'll talk about what a Falera is in a short while. So Germanicus was assassinated in AD 19, and that was 7 years into the life of Caligula. Now, the 3 images there, one of those babies there is actually Caligula. The others are Nero and Drusus. But not Nero, the one who played the fiddle, who set light to Rome. This is Nero, the brother of Caligula, who, like Caligula's other brother Drusus, was likely assassinated. So in other words, Caligula had his father assassinated by Tiberius. Nero and Drusus was assassinated, we believe, by Tiberius, right? And bit by bit, the entire family of Caligula is wiped out. The only one who's left, really, other than Caligula's own sister, Agrippina Jr., who actually comes into Rome a little bit later in history, right? Agrippina Jr. was in fact the fourth wife of Claudius. And it's likely that Agrippina Jr. Killed Claudius, right? So that's something else. So I want to talk about the archaeological evidence and and what this object means. This just one single object means. So we're showing this and thinking, well, why is Carl getting so excited about this object? Well, when we looked at Julius Caesar, we looked at the archaeological evidence Ebbsfleet, and the archaeological evidence Ebbsfleet tells us that we've got a ditch, we've got a pilum head, we've got a few other bits of scrap metal, and they're saying that that's the archaeological evidence for Julius Caesar's invasion, right? But they're saying that Caligula did not invade Britain. But I actually really believe he did. There's little signs that there's something going on. Now, last week, when we looked at Caligula, we saw coin evidence in Norfolk, Suffolk, and Essex. Now, one of the things with Caligula is that he did not like his name. Last week we showed coins which had Caius Caesar on them, or Caius Caesar Germanicus. That's what was on Caligula's coins, not the name Caligula. Caligula was a nickname which has come down through history to be the name that aspires to be the official name of Caligula. But if he had continued and become the great emperor that he should have been, right, it's likely that we'd be looking at Augustus, Tiberius, Caius, not Claudius, and probably not Nero. Now, Caligula meant little boot. Now, that's really interesting because Caligula, from a very young age, for 7 years of his life, from being a baby all the way through to 7 years, he was with his dad on the front line. So he saw fighting. Now, last night somebody asked the question, and I think one person was a bit deriding of what I was saying, and they basically said, "Oh, you know, if Caligula is this amazing person, you know, did he raise any Roman legions?" And he did. He rose a Roman legion called the 22nd Legion, which was actually quite a notable legion. Caligula meaning little boot because he was a little boy who was fighting with his dad. Now, let's just try and say a little bit more, and it's a shame I haven't got the rest of my images tonight, but I want us to sort of look at this and sort of get an idea of this object, right? And basically, paleras are these things, right? That's a palera, right? That was a palera found at Vindolanda, right? And these are actually basically chest plates. These are military awards that are put on legionary soldiers' chests, right? That's not very clear, but basically these paleras, going back to our palera here, is found in Colchester. Now, as a massively piece of archaeological evidence, so this palera itself is associated with Caligula's own dad, and it was worn by a Roman soldier, a legionary. Now, the image of Germanicus and the image of Caligula and his brothers and his family would have been almost criminal to have actually been wearing, right? So what is this doing in Colchester? Caligula, to all accounts, none of his soldiers ever got over to Britain in AD 40. This is a glass falera, and falera, as a falera itself, it's molded blown glass. Now this is blue glass. The blue glass itself, portrait medallion worn by a soldier. The diameter of this, the actual glass itself, it's actually blown. Basically, it's a mold, and you blow the glass into the mold, right? You don't pour the glass into the mold, you blow it into the mold, because if you pour the glass into the mold, you'll have air bubbles. This is absolutely perfect. And there's not just this in Colchester, but there are other examples of these surviving elsewhere. So Germanicus there, and 3 infant children, and one of whom is the future emperor. Now, there are other faleras in the British Museum. there are in fact two others. One in the British Museum and one in something called the Corning Museum of Glass.
What size is it, Carl?
Yeah, I did say it's 5.6 centimeters in diameter.
Right.
So it's not massive, right? So if I keep on apologizing tonight because something went wrong with my other technology, which I thought had resolved, but it seems to be sounding fine. So if we type in Faleras worn by Roman legionaries, right? Hopefully we'll get something up there. So right, there we go. They're just worn on chest like that. So these ones happen to be glass, right? And they were ceremonial. You may have worn some going into battle, right? So I think the point is with this Falera is it's made of glass. It's worn by a Roman legionary, and it's found in Colchester. And in a broader term for these objects, you would wear them to show off the fact that you've been into battle with Germanicus, and you've got a portraiture on the Falera that we're talking about tonight, associated with Caligula. Now we did show last week that we showed that the coins associated with Caligula had the C before the Caesar and Germanicus filed off, right? I showed you that clearly last week, because it was the damnatio. Nobody is to be shown in any way associated with Caligula. This is a perfect object. It's found in Colchester. It's associated with Roman legionary. There's only one way this could have come over to Britain. It would have come over to Britain before Caligula was disgraced with his assassination in January in the year AD 41. The planned invasion, or the invasion I feel actually did happen in one way, more information about that next week, was in AD 40. So the Colchester example can be seen as traditional, but there are some of these examples surviving, but very few associated with Caligula. Circular decorative medallion set on a copper bronze backing, right? As we've already seen, it was worn that on the chest of a Roman legionary, specifically Roman legionary. Now back to the object again. This is found at Colchester, but so after AD 43, Colchester become a coloni. It's a coloni of the Roman Empire, right? It's a place where Roman military veterans retired, right? But no Roman military veteran would have carried anything like this after AD 41. So again, what's it doing in Colchester? You didn't have these things as keepsakes. They would have been taken off you and it would have been destroyed. End of story. But this is perfect. So again, specifically the word Falera, P-H-A-L-E-R-A, worn by Roman soldiers, especially centurions and decorated veterans. This is a guy who was aware and knew Germanicus, who fought with Germanicus, and obviously may have, but then again, if he fought and was associated with Germanicus, right, this is a point. Germanicus was assassinated in AD 19, so if this legionary had fought with Germanicus, he was a fairly old legionary, so this may have actually been worn by somebody else who was fighting for Caligula, and actually had one of these chest adornments. So again, these are attached in rows across the chest, attached by heavy leather strapping. And what's all this talking?
There's so much in there, you know. But yeah, we've got pictures. I say when Cyril and I did all the research, actually.
What the hell?
Well, and I did all the research.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
guys, hang on a minute.
drawings as well of the not only the front, but a plan view on some of the inside as well. An elevation, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, guys, I had to mute him. Right, let's go back to where I was. Flippin' heck. Bill, of all people, screen. Right, okay, back to the Falera. Right, back to this object, back to this very special object. Right, okay. I thought that was Richard talking, but it wasn't. It was Bill. Right, where are we? I've had to knock that off. Right, there we go, Falera. So anyway, back to what we were saying. So it's associated with somebody of high status, high rank. Now, to have glass was not produced in Britain, right, at all in the Roman era, as far as we know. This glass object would have been created and manufactured in basically northern Egypt or Israel, right? Glass backed on metal. The imperial family portrait found Camelon Jr. It can't just be accidentally found there, right? So this is ceremonial. This is a prestigious thing. This is something that somebody would have worn with pride, right? Again, what's it doing in Colchester? Well, one of the things that we actually discussed last night is that it may be associated with an item, a mass-produced loyalty item that was actually given to anybody that had some kind of association with Germanicus and Caligula. This is a distributed image. This is something that somebody would have had in pride of place. Somebody would have had in pride of place up until the assassination of Caligula in AD 41. So Germanicus was widely popular in the army, so hence his image. So Caligula would have wanted to be associated with his father and reproducing images of his father, right? So the date range for this object is roughly between AD 20 and AD 40, right? So it could be likely to be being produced by Caligula. This is espousing to a political message. Now, if we want to think about the message that these objects give, it's to do with coins, it's to do with anything, it's to do with statuary, it's to do with imperial edicts. Objects like this point to a moment in time, right? So in other words, moment in time, there were some ways of calculating the Roman calendar. So you may have actually said in the first year of Caligula's reign, the second year of Caligula's reign, the third year of Caligula's reign, fourth year of Caligula's reign, and so on and so on. And then you go on to the reign of Claudius, right? So again, this is telling us something really, really powerful. The object fits perfectly into what we're talking about. Evidence for Caligula, his soldiers being in Britain, roughly about AD 40. Now, it could also be linked to something else, which is quite mad. So what we're going to go on to, we're just going to show you something that I've been generally thinking about, right? It's Chester. It's the temple of Claudius, right? Now this is something that we didn't dabble in last night, but it seems to fit me quite well tonight. So what we've got is that hang on, temple of there, bingo. Now this is actually the vaults underneath Colchester Castle. This is all Roman masonry. Bill's been down there. You know, I'm associated with this quite well. Now, if we go back to the Falera and thinking about that, it's we're talking about a Roman officer stationed in early Colchester, right? Now, could this have been somebody in Colchester before the Claudian invasion of AD 43? Right, which sounds really interesting. Was there a Roman military presence in Colchester before the Claudian invasion of AD 43? This is what this Falera points to. And there's also this underground section of what's left of the Roman temple at Colchester before it was burnt down in a Boudicca rebellion of AD 60. This is the vaults, the basement of Colchester Castle today. And by the way, next week we're going to be doing nothing but archaeological evidence. We're not going to be doing the historians anymore. That's going out the window. We're just going to focus on the archaeology, right? I thought I'd mention that. So, and if we got carvings and stuff that talk about certain Roman emperors, then that's fine. If we got Vindolanda tablets, then that's fine. But actual historical notices, right? They're going out the window. We're not doing that stuff anymore. We're just doing pure archaeology. Anyway, back to this basement. I was actually, so if we think about this building, right? And if we think about there we go. For whatever reason, oh, there we go. That's good. So that's basically Colchester Castle. It's Castle Park, and there is the castle there underneath the temple, right? And the point is that's sort of a reconstructed plan. Now, I sat down and I started thinking about this, and thinking about the Falera. I started thinking about the Boudicca rebellion of AD 60, right? And I just started to think, right, AD 43, right? You've got this massive temple built in Colchester, right? Associated and in tribute in sort of making Claudius in a way a deity, right? Basically talking about Claudius as this great figure in history, right? And I started thinking, well, this temple, could it have been constructed before the Claudian invasion of AD 43? I just put that question up there. I'm not saying there's anything in that. I just put that up there, right? So again, what we're seeing, Colchester is really, really odd in regards to the archaeology of Roman era Britain. It's really odd because they seem to be establishing a Roman colonia there. They seem to be doing something in Colchester before anywhere else in Britain, as far as I'm concerned, right? And thinking about a temple being constructed maybe before AD 43 is, for me, quite plausible. But no archaeologist would agree with that. But if you're gonna build a massive structure in Colchester, something really impressive, that might have been beyond the bounds of local craftsmen, because they were trying to get an idea of the Roman world and how it all worked. This site would have been absolutely mega. It would have been off the scale, right? And again, it's being built in Colchester, not Londinium. It's being built in Colchester and not Kent. So back to the Falera. Let's go back to the Falera again. Okay, let's just see where we are. And there we go, back to this beautiful Falera. So why this object matters for me, why this object matters for me to talk about it, and everything that I would like to put across. If I want to go to heart and I want to talk about Caligula, why am I obsessed with Caligula? I'm obsessed with Caligula because I like underdogs in history, right? I like to see underdogs in history, and I like to see us say, right, this guy, obviously we've got Germanicus there, that's Caligula's dad, but Caligula himself, let's just chuck an image of Caligula up. Let's just chuck an image of Caligula up so we can just get an idea of the man again. So Caligula, there he is. There's Caligula. Love the guy. Most people hate him. This guy is responsible for not one, not two, but 3 boats at Lake Nemi, right? He's responsible for the construction of a massive fortress on the North French coast. He's responsible for the construction of a massive lighthouse, construction of roads, constructions of so many structures in his very short lifetime, right? So why is he being dismissed by historians? Caligula, the imperial idea of invading Britain. Claudius eventually took it off and then you've got Roman garrisons here after AD 43. That's undeniable. That's archaeological evidence, right? But one thing that isn't archaeological evidence is the Romans attacking hill forts and stuff. There's no archaeological evidence for that at all, because most of them were abandoned. But again, let's go back to Caligula. So Britain, as we keep saying, was already plugged into imperial cult messaging. Caligula and the Julio-Claudian dynasty, right? And when we talk about the Julio-Claudian dynasty, we talk about Julius Caesar, we talk about Augustus and the link with Augustus and Julius Caesar. We think about Tiberius, we think about Caligula, we think about Claudius, right? And we go on to Nero. And then things go to pot. Britain was massively associated with all those figures. It was tied into the idea and belief of Rome. Now, thinking about Caligula, Britain was already in Rome's ideological orbit. And we think about this and we look about this, and the Falera has a massive sense of historical resonance when we talk about when we talk about Caligula. Now, the next thing I'd like to look at is a nice other thing, and a nice off the world thing in connection with Caligula. And what we're gonna think about is a press report that isn't too far off, and then we're going to look at the Caligula's lighthouse at Boulogne, right? Caligula's lighthouse at Boulogne, Caligula's harbour at Boulogne, Caligula's legionary fortress. And one thing that we didn't do last night was Caligula's wonderful fortress. Now, this comes to us in the background, right? If we type in Caligula, and there should be a really nice reconstruction here. So Caligula, fortress at Boulogne, fortress at Boulogne. Hang on, can't spell Boulogne. Boulogne. Now this was something that came out really not so far off, right? Caligula's fortress at Boulogne, right? So we've got where is it? There we go. There it is. It was in the news in 2021. Let's just share this, right? And hopefully there's the great reconstruction, because there was a really nice reconstruction with his fortress. Now, where is it? Oh, hang on a minute. Where's the reconstruction? It's got a there it is. Love it. I actually thought this was a great reconstruction. It's really good. This was in the Guardian. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my notes on my other device a minute, and we can read through this. So I've bounced from Colchester back to France, right? And there's a reason for that. I try and put this together next week, but we also talk about the lighthouse. But let's talk about this press report. But before we talk about the lighthouse, which will be after the break, we're going to look at some articles. So I said I was going to do them at the beginning, but everything went to absolute pot. So here we go. So I thought this was an absolutely great piece. And the headlines back in 2021 were: large Roman fort built by Caligula discovered, not at Boulogne, right? There is one at Boulogne. This one is actually Amsterdam. So there's more than one. Fortified camp for thousands of soldiers, thought to have been used by Emperor Caligula, and also used by Claudius during conquests of Britain in AD 43. Now, this was built, this huge fortified landscape, right? Boulogne,
And this one's near Amsterdam. There's two. Why are there's? It's great stuff. It starts to make you think. Well, hang on. Caligula built all this stuff. He's a total nut job, apparently, according to history. Right? He's had all this stuff done. He's put all these legions in northern France, and we're going up into Amsterdam as well. And we've got this press report. So a large Roman fort believed to have played a key role in the successful invasion of Britain in AD 43, but again, built by Caligula, has been discovered Amsterdam on the coast. A Roman legion of several thousand battle-ready soldiers were stationed here at Velsen, Amsterdam. One of the archaeologists, Dr. Arjen Bosman, the archaeologist behind the findings, said the evidence pointed to a fortress, a castra, a huge site with naval access as well. Now, when we put all this together and we tie this into Boulogne and we tie this into Amsterdam, right, the fortified camp appears to have been established by Emperor Caligula. Now, there's a point with all of this, right? So let's try and put some of this together. So we've got the coin evidence, which we did last week. We forget the history, what's written about Caligula, but we mentioned that last week. We've got this site, we've got the one at Boulogne, right? We've got the Falera, right? We've got large armies ready to invade Britain in across the likes of northern France, and going into the Dutch landscape as well. What are they doing there? Right, so fortified camp, the archaeological evidence, Emperor Caligula in preparation, and the might not say his failed attempt to take Britain in AD 40, but was then successfully developed and exploited by his successor Claudius for his own invasion in AD 43. Now, there's three schools of thought arguing against me on Caligula's invasion of Britain. There's one school of thought saying that we believe what the historians tell us, which I'm going to reject. There's the other school of thought saying that he was ready to invade, right? But he managed to go back to Rome and he was assassinated and the invasion didn't take place, right? My school of thought says that there was some kind of invasion that did actually take place. It was, we came, we conquered, the troops came back, and Caligula said we did invade. And a couple of years later, Claudius invaded and took all the glory and everything that Caligula had set up in vain. And then one of the things that I'm getting at is that when we look on the ground in the archaeology, right, the Claudius invasion seems too easy. It's almost as if there's something already happened. The Claudius invasion is far, far too easy. And this is the point I'm trying to make. It's just like something must have happened to make it that easy. So going back to what this archaeologist said, Dr. Bozeman, and again, talking from the Netherlands, we know for sure Caligula was in the Netherlands. So she's saying for sure. This is an archaeologist. It's got a lot more standing than me. Dr. Bozeman said that Caligula was in the Netherlands, as there are markings on wooden wine barrels with the initials of the emperor burnt into those barrels. Now that is vital archaeological evidence. That's not historical evidence, that's vital archaeological evidence, suggesting that these came from the imperial court. So barrels with the it's building, folks. We're getting a little bit more. What Caligula came to do were the preparations for invading England, to have the same kind of military achievement as Julius Caesar. But to invade and remain there, he couldn't finish the job, as he was killed in AD 41 and Claudius took over where he left off in AD 43. Can we just read that statement again, folks, if I may? She says, what Caligula came to do were the preparations for invading England, to have the same kind of military achievement as Julius Caesar.
but to invade and remain there. He couldn't finish the job. Now, is she actually indicating that he may have invaded? That's what it says to me, and this is another archaeologist. So she says the archaeology in the ground there in front of us, right? She said, we have found wooden planks underneath the watchtower or the gate of the fort. And this is the phase just before the invasion of England. The wooden plank has been dated to the winter of AD 42. That is a lovely date. I jumped in the air when I heard it. Now, that's slightly 1 year after, 2 years after the Caligula stuff, but it's sealing in the archaeology underneath. So that gives us an idea. The archaeology underneath is just before AD 42. Interesting piece of archaeological evidence. Claudius's invading forces, untouched by the Germanic tribes, made their landing in Kent, and by the summer of AD 43, the emperor was confident enough to travel to Britain, entering Colchester, Camalodunum in triumph to receive the submission of the 12 chiefs. So let me talk about this. So AD 43, within weeks, the Romans had conquered Britain, and obviously they were in Colchester, and the actual emperor was safe enough to be there. Does that make any sense? Doesn't to me. Within 3 years, the Romans had claimed the whole of Britannia as part of their empire. Bosman is actually saying as well, the main force came from Boulogne and Calais, but the northern flank of that attack had to be covered, and it was covered by this fort at Velsen in the Netherlands. So there's not just a fort at Boulogne, there's not just a fort at Velsen, there's one at Calais as well. So the Germanic threat comes up in Roman literature several times. She goes on to say it was an early warning system to the troops in France. It didn't matter what the Germanic tribes put in the field, as there was a legion there. The first evidence of a Roman fort in Velsen in North Holland had been uncovered in 1945 by school children who had found shards of pottery in an abandoned German anti-tank trench. I love that bit of detail. I love it. You know, I always think about what was found in the Second World War, and there's some more evidence. So research was undertaken in the 1950s during the building of a tunnel, and the archaeological excavations took place in the 1960s and 70s. In 1997, Bozeman's discovery of Roman ditches in several places and a wall and a gate were thought sufficient evidence for the area to become a state-protected archaeological site. But at this stage, the Velsen camp, sounds like a concentration camp, to be honest with you. The Velsen camp identified as having been used between AD 39 and AD 47. Hang on a minute, AD 39? The archaeology tells us it's been used as early as AD 39, not AD 40, AD 39, right? Up to AD 47. They thought it was small, but the theory was complemented by the discovery of a fort in 1972. Which is believed to have dated to about AD 30. So a thorough, basically what they then did, they undertook a large scale excavation, thorough excavation. Now we're coming up to 2021. Of the site, found it had been abandoned following various things that had happened. However, the existence of other forts and other archaeology, right, within this landscape, within close proximation, tells us of more than just one fort, two forts, three forts, more a later fort that was destroyed by Germanic people coming over the border. So now, I think this is in 2020, in November, through piecing together features of the various archaeological evidence and taking into account archaeological findings, we now understand that there's something really special going on. It is not one of 2 hectares like an early fort. This is an 11-hectare site, the true size. And the archaeologist Bosman says, she says, we always thought it was the same size, but this is a massive legionary fortress. So if we think about something like Caligula, but a little bit bigger, which is a legionary fortress, this is what we're talking about. It was constructed by Caligula. And so what they've been finding lots of military evidence, lots of weapons, lots of daggers, lots of javelins. And we know at some time there was some kind of conflict later on, way after AD 40. However, the 11 hectares, they believe that 6,000 men were stationed there. The Velsen fort, the one built by Caligula in approximately AD 13, was abandoned in AD 47 when it was no longer needed. And there's lots more information out on this, but I think this is an absolutely fascinating piece of archaeological evidence. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at some of those articles that I had ready to talk about tonight, but obviously that's not happened. But what I want to do, I've got three little stories that Goff gave us, not Goff, Henry gave us. One we've already done, involving the bow drill, which was a bit cocked up earlier on when I was talking about it, but obviously we did discuss that. And there's a really interesting article, right, that is associated with a cave in Oregon. So we go over to the United States, which we don't often go over to. This is a nice little article, which I thought was a nice little find of Henry, and it changes things in America. And again, Goff, this is the most important archaeological discovery ever made in America, right? This one that we've just been seeing in the Netherlands is the most important archaeological discovery ever in 2021. But this archaeological find we're going to look at, we're going to look to Oregon, and we're going to Oregon. And we're going to look at the Oregon cave. It is. This is one of those odd little stories that little gems that you guys occasionally find, and I like this little one. It's only short, right? We got the Daily Mail, so there we go. Let's look at the cave. We've got a cave there. Interesting, right? Nice image there. I got my notes here. It actually looks a bit like Pavilan Cave, but it's not. So those objects there. So the headlines are: prehistoric discovery in Oregon cave older than the Egyptian Great Pyramid rewrites human history. And this is really new. So the oldest known pieces of sewn clothing have been discovered in a cave in Oregon, potentially rewriting all of human history. Now, this clothing, right, that's there, right, there, researchers from the USA uncovered pieces of animal hide stitched together from the end of the last ice age 12,000 years ago. So we've got sewn clothing being found in America dating back 12,000 years. That is definitely a find and a half. Well done, Henry. I like this. That would mean that humans in North America had advanced skills. Well, that's not news. We knew that. Specifically for working with plants, animals, and wood. Thousands of years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt were constructed. The Great Pyramids of Egypt were constructed 4,600 years ago. This is 12,000 years ago. So the discoveries include a collection of ancient items made from material that usually rot away over time, such as animal hides. But it's within those caves, it's survived. Amazing. I am loving it. So, however, they were hidden in several dry caves in Oregon's northern Great Basin in the United States. Until now, researchers believed early humans in the present-day USA were simple hunter-gatherers. Oh, they weren't. We've known that. They were a lot more for some time. With the new artifacts being the best preserved evidence of sophisticated technology like sewn clothing, twined baskets, and wooden hunting traps. But those objects there are amazing, absolutely amazing. And I'm just wondering if we can get another image of that. Wouldn't that be great if we can? So just sort of try and get something bigger. Oh, there it is. There's more. Oh, all right then. Well, there you go. We got ropes. We got evidence of sewn clothing. Loving it there. Loving it. So again, we mentioned that. So sewn clothing, twined baskets, wooden hunting traps, rope, blah, blah, blah. So they unearthed 55 crafted items from using wait for it, 15 different plants and animal types. So, yeah, this is like, okay. So when I give a presentation, I say, oh, you know, we've got evidence of a shirt made of nettle fibers here, or we got a shirt made of flax, and we look at Otzi the Iceman and all the rest of it. But this is 15 different plant and animal types found in this cave in Oregon 12,000 years ago, including some relics that the author convinced were either clothing or footwear. So, all right, then that's taking it a bit further. Footwear as well. So basically fills a massive gap in Ice Age. People in North America were innovative and adaptable, using everyday materials in smart ways during a time before civilizations rose and all the rest of it. And can I just, there's something I want to share with you if I can get another, there we go. That's an image inside the cave. Hang on. Hang on a minute. Is that real? No, that's AI. That's not this. So is that there? I think, oh, there is more of it there. Look at that. So the other one was AI actually. I've started to find AI a bit sort of getting in the way, to be honest with you. I just want to make one point before we sort of get on to the other article, before we have the break from Henry. I used to sit down on this was a thought that I used to have when I was like 10 years old, right? Yeah, I was into archaeology that far back, and I used to sit down. I used to think, well, why is it people in caves didn't have toilets, and why didn't they have you know, barrels where they stored water, and why didn't they do this and that? And then suddenly you start to realize that they did have lots of these things, right? And they did look at this archaeological evidence. So there's so much that we don't know that we're learning, and it does tie into that sort of that idea that you know, there's lots to say about advanced civilizations once existing on the planet, and lots of archaeological evidence out there that we're just finding bit by bit. So the other article I want to look at is something which is something different again, not Roman, not whatever, but this is to do with headlines. We'll find this now. This is to do with a woolly mammoth. No, a woolly rhino. That's right, not a woolly rhino. It's to do with a woolly rhino, and it's to do with a wolf. And I'm hoping I can get this straight away on you. So let's just see. And genome. Back to that really wonderful genome. Sort of, that's a signature genome, and we've got wolf. And it will come clear in a moment, I'm sure, folks. Oh, there we go. It's happening. Right. So basically, there it is. It's there. So this is there we go. I got the article in front of me, so I'll just have the image. So there is. Researchers recover. Oh, hang on. What's that got to do with Walt Disney? Right. Okay. Researchers. Oh yeah. National Geographic's owned by Walt Disney. Researchers recover a woolly rhino genome from inside a frozen wolf's stomach. I think that's great. So on the back of them finding worms in the Antarctic, and they've managed to bring worms back to life that have long since been dead. Yeah. So the work marks the first time an ancient what? There we go. There he is. Reconstruction there. So the work marks the first time. Hang on. Why is it not coming up a minute? Hang on. Why is it not working? Right, okay, we'll go with something else a minute. Oh, hang on. It's not letting me do it. So we'll read it from the article here. So the woolly rhinoceros illustrated above is an extinct species of rhinoceros that was common throughout Europe and northern Asia. And this dates back to January the 14th, 2026. In 2011, mammoth ivory hunters in northeastern Siberia discovered a mummified wolf puppy that had lain frozen for 14,400 years on the 14th of October with the statue of Lloyd George. An autopsy of the permafrost preserved pup revealed another surprise. Its gut contained chunks of greyish meat covered with strands of golden hair. Now, it's really interesting. It's taken, 15 years for us to research this. The tissue was so intact, it looked like the wolf had just swallowed it before it died. And it's basically saying from Sweden, ancient DNA retrieved from the wolf's cub's final meal revealed the tissue belonged to a woolly rhinoceros. And there we go. It's talking about devoured morsel to reconstruct the woolly rhino's entire genome. So in other words, we can reconstruct a rhinoceros from this stuff. So a complete genome for the contents of another animal's stomach. So we can understand, its sort of genotype and where it's linked in the evolutionary play of life. So the woolly rhino genome provides insights into the species population right before the end of the last ice age. So the findings suggest Siberia's woolly rhino population was still stable a few hundred years before the shaggy species went extinct. It adds further evidence to the theory that woolly rhinoceroses experienced a rapid population collapse around 14,000 years ago as the climate changed, and nothing to do with being wiped out by human beings, because this one was eaten by wolves. The mummified wolf puppy. So it was the wolves that were responsible for the extinction of the rhinos. Blame them. So the mummified wolf puppy was discovered near the Siberian village of Tumut, together with its sisters, which was unearthed in 2015. They are known as the Tumut puppies. The siblings were buried in ice shortly after death, likely by a collapsed den or landslide. They can't have been starving because they died with food in their stomachs. They were preserved in exquisite detail. Both are still covered in parchment-like skin with large patches of dark brown fur. One still bears its teeth, frozen in a permanent snarl. And it basically says that the rapid burial also captured the puppy's last suppers. Their guts contained a varied diet including bird feathers, bits of plant material, and even parts of a dung beetle. But they most substantial sustenance, it seems, came from the scraps of woolly mammoth meat. I thought that was great, So anyway, I'm just gonna see if I can get an image of those little naughty wolves. Oh, there's one there. There he is. There's the wolf himself. Yeah, very interesting angle that is on his back there. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to have a little bit of a break. Again, apologies that I haven't been able to get all the images on that I had lined up. But in the break, I will try and get a couple of the lighthouse things lined up a bit better. So anyway, hopefully that's been useful. So let's just see questions. Goff.
Oh, no questions. No, it was fascinating. Yes, thank you.
And I would say that it was very difficult last night because I thought I'd managed to troubleshoot all the problems. So this device I'm actually using now, it works perfectly, right? It's just I gave a little bit more faith in my know-how of computers to try and get the other thing working, and it didn't. So there you go. Anyway, thank you for that, Goff. Right, Richard.
Oh, very interesting. Very good.
A pound for every time you said that. Thanks, Richard. Bill. Oh, Bill, you've got to unmute yourself. Bill, unmute. Bill, unmute. All right, hang on. I'll ask him to unmute. Right.
Yeah, same with you. Yeah. No, I was saying that I now know what the Falera was. I've often seen them on the breastplates of legionnaires, etc. So now I know. They were badges of honor, like medals, basically. One in battle, for valor. Excellent. I'm just amazed, Carl, how much research is going on over the world in all aspects of history. So much going on, isn't there? It's fascinating. It really is.
Can I just, yeah. No, I don't know if you had anything else to say there, but I just want to jump in because you're right, because I've occasionally I've just felt that doing some history has not been as aidful as I thought it was, and when we're going into the Roman era, it's I don't like doing Roman history. I just prefer to do the archaeology that I'm trained to do. So that's where we're going to go, because there's so much archaeology disproving the history, and the archaeology is factual. That's the way. That's the line to go down. Anyway,
exactly.
Thank you.
Archaeology is a science. History is not. Full stop.
Exactly. So, anything
That's
else, Bill?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, and what about you, Henry?
Just so you're aware, Mary Beard is doing a grand tour on ancient Roman history.
Nice.
And she's coming to Cardiff to steal.
Do you know the weirdest thing today? The weirdest thing today, Michelle and we turned up at the university library in Lampeter, right? And because they'd been advertising, because they got a special collection of books in the old University of Lampeter, because now it's all shut, but the library is still operational. And there's a covenant that the library cannot be demolished, right? Because there's a very valuable collection of books in there, right? So me and there was this exhibition, and we basically went to the door and we said, oh, can we come and see this exhibition with a lecture? And they said, oh, it's all fully booked. And then they said, oh yeah, we can creep you in, but we didn't have the time to actually go and see the exhibition. And what it was a collection of books from the 1600s, 17 and 1800s, looking at how people have recorded Roman structures over that period, over that time frame, with all these books. And we didn't manage to see it, but they did say that if I organised an appointment to actually go to see this collection of books, that they could sort that out. And it got me thinking, maybe some of you could come down to Lampeter and you could sit in the library and look at some of these wonderful books with me, and Bill can buy us a coffee afterwards.
Of course. That's what I always do when I see you, Carl. I'm always by you. I know who isn't.
That short hands, deep pockets.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, the problem is because I don't clean my nails on a regular basis, right? I don't want to expose you to seeing my nails. So that's it. Right. So we're gonna have a 10-minute break. I will try and do a couple of things in the doodah, and we'll be back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Incredible life-saving treatment. Absolutely, yeah. Many people across the country have got stents inside the heart and are doing really well as a result of this great technology. Today, around 90,000 people in Britain each year fitted with stents. The team need to work fast here to get one in place for Nigel before his heart is starved of oxygen. You okay? Pain increasing. Yeah, it gets a little bit worse before it gets better. But now blood is going to the place where it didn't have any blood before, right? It didn't have any muscle in your legs, falling asleep, and then suddenly you get tingling. Luckily, the doctors here work with the focus of a Formula One pit stop team. We have a clock that takes, we call it door to balloon time. So door means that the time the patient arrives to the hospital. And our balloon time is when we open the artery with the balloon and restore the blood flow. The whole process should be less than 60 minutes. Nigel will soon be out of the woods. Back on the cardiology wards, clinical site manager Jason is making headway, finding beds for the patients to recover in. 100 years ago, this job would have been done by hospital stewards, like this man, Mark Morris, who lived on site. and Jason is certainly no less busy today. As you will notice, that
I'm just masticating a minute. Bill, turn your mic on.
No, I've just been watching Alice Roberts at Bart's Hospital, claiming that Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. Whereas if you go to the foyer of the Princess of Wales Hospital in Bridgend, you'll see a plaque there to a gentleman called, I forget his name now, Jones, and he discovered them about 10 years before. But of course, he's not English, is he? Or anything else. So she's always getting things wrong.
She is.
But there we are. I prefer Bethany every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the dark hair.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Hang on, I'm still masticating, okay? Just let me finish my
You should-
pie.
You should masticate before you come on this program.
I'm having my break.
Why do you need to eat in between? Don't you have a good dinner before?
Look, there's nothing wrong with masticating, okay?
Right, okay, finish your snack, whatever it is. Is it an Iron Age diet you're eating?
Well, it's not Iron Age, innit? It's just Neolithic, innit? Because I'm in Stonehenge.
Ah.
Right, now, I have managed to solve a problem. Because it's like a file transfer problem, right, yeah, so I devised the whole presentation tonight on one type of technology, which I put on another type of technology. Both of those bits of technology failed. So when it came to my backup technology, which is the technology that I'm using, right, which has worked perfectly well tonight, I've had to get the stuff sent to in an email to this device. And so that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to look at something to do with glass a minute, and it's a little bit back to the Falera, right? So let's just see where that takes us, right? So we're doing something different tonight, and hopefully it'll work. If we didn't try these things, Bill, where would we be?
You know what?
You know, it's like it's what Bromhead did with he thought we'll just try out the Zulu to see if we can defeat them at Islandawara. It didn't work, did it? But you know, we can't thus not succeed, certainly sometimes. Right, so let's just start this back out with the Falera, right? And the reason why we're back to the Falera is that maybe I didn't really conclude on this bit, but I think the one point I want to make is that this is a really important object, right? For me, looking at the story to do with Caligula and Roman era Britain, right? Archaeology, definitely not history. So the point is it's glass, right? And Richard asked earlier on the dimensions of this. And let me get back with my notes, please. And we mentioned the
you said 5 centimeters. That's about 2 inches.
5.6 centimeters. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 2 inches.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to tell you how important the glass is, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to try the other technology. So let's just let's go to email on here. And you'll notice, hopefully, as I open this first email, which doesn't that absolutely look hang on, doesn't that look brilliant, Bill? That looks great, doesn't it?
Oh yes,
it looks so good. But before we crack on, right, that is a Caesar Augustus Germanicus coin, right? And last week I said that the Caius, which is his actual approved name, not Caligula, was filed off the coins associated with Caligula. So the coin says Caesar Augustus Germanicus. So in other words, it's Emperor Germanicus, who never really existed, right? So they got rid of the C. So that's the point. Anyway, if we go to I'm hoping it's this image. Oh. There it is. This is where I want to be. Oh, no, it's the same one. Hang on, guys. I've just got to try and work out what I'm doing wrong. Right. I've got to open one of these, and I can't work out. Is it this? Oh, yes, it's this. This is where I want to be, guys. And this is the story of the glass, basically. So, Roman glass is a really key indicator of the archaeology of Roman era Britain, right? And I'll say it as it is. Glass, we've got no archaeological evidence to say that there's a single glass kiln of any kind being found in Britain. What we know is that glass was being recycled in Britain, and they may have been doing something with it, and that was on one episode of Time Team. but glass itself came from the furthest eastern parts of the Roman Empire. And when we talk about the furthest eastern parts, we're talking about Israel, and we're talking about northern Egypt. That's where glass manufacture is based. So when we talk about the dates of glass manufacture in the Roman world, we're talking about roughly 50 years BC, right? And we're talking up to about 450 AD 450, right? Now, most of you might already know that glass is basically sand and salt. So one thing it sort of says up here, Roman glass manufacture revolutionized the industry by combining a high temperature sand based silica with natron flux to create versatile, affordable glass. But glass had already been invented many years before, but what the Romans devised a mass manufacturing process to have glass on every rich person's table. Now, when we think of it that way, when it's talking about, you know, various innovations, so that sort of object there, sort of like a little cremational jar, I think there's a few points I want to put across. That when we find glass in Roman era Britain, it's come a long bloody way, right? You know, it's come a few thousand miles to get here. Obviously, there were other parts of the Roman world devising sort of produced glass. Maybe there was some stuff in France, but most of it come from the far eastern part of the Roman world, and most of it was blue glass or green glass. And by the way, I've got to remind you, next week, if you've got a copy of, well, you should all have a copy of my book, even if I've just sent you one because I like you, right, Goff. Just make sure you got your Romans in South Wales next week, because it's going to be, I'm going to start referring to that in our presentations. I want you to have your copy in front of you, so I can say turn to page so and so, and that'll help me out, right? So anyway, back to the glass stuff. If you will notice in my book Romans in South Wales mentions of Roman blue glass, right, which has only come thousands of miles to Britain, and we find examples of Roman blue glass in South Wales. For example, at the Atlantic Trade Estate, when they were excavating the cemetery there was Roman blue glass beads found in other areas as well. It's come a long way. The other thing about Roman glass as well, we talk about the early medieval period, and there's lots of signs of trade going into the late 400s, 500s, well after the Roman era in Britain. And it's a sign that we're still linked to the Eastern Mediterranean there, but obviously back to this Roman era stage. So primary production in Eastern Mediterranean raw glass was transported to local workshops for shaping via free blowing or mold blowing. So free blowing is obviously, that's going to be free blow, glass bottles and stuff, and mold blowing is blowing into a mold. That's really, really important. So salt, again, huge into this process, and obviously the raw material silica, so material composition, Roman glass, so soda, lime, silica formula. Basically, that says it all. Natron, sand, sodium carbonate, sand, salt, sodium carbonate, salt, natron, silica, sand, and obviously the natron itself is sort of a flux, basically. That's what you do lots of these processes. Now, I used to have a piece of glass that came from the burial site at the Atlantic Trade Estate years ago, but that disappeared. It was stolen, but this is sort of typical Roman glass. One difference between Roman glass and most other glasses, right? It's not always true, is Roman glass is the same thickness as our modern glass, right? It's not the dainty thin bits that you might find with Tudor glass. So basically you've got Roman era glass, Roman Britain, and then there's a gap going all the way up to all the way up to sort of the Tudor period, and then we got loads of glass in Britain again, sort of thin glass and whatever. Yeah, there is glass in Britain between that sort of big long period, but not a lot. But anyway, the Roman glass is like thickness of sort of the glass that we'd have with modern bottles and so on. You can actually see little air bubbles in some of it, and I got really excited the other day, Bill. I was wandering across the field, yeah, and a mole dug up a bead, and it was blue. Then I realised that it was perfect blue bead, and I thought that's not Roman. Really got upset, but that's the type of stuff that you might find. And look at this object here, a wonderful little glass object, nice little patina on it. You can tell old glass because there's patina on it. It's really sexy stuff. Because what it is, the silica is reacting with the natron, and it's sort of going back to its original. It's excreting basically, and you've got this patina on it. So old glass patinas, basically, the glass is rotting and decaying, and basically that's what it looks like this. And this is how you can tell old glass. Right. Or I got to tell you a little story about this thing. Right. This we used to have a guy called, oh God, Gilbert. He used to come to our class in Cumbria when I used to speak in Cumbria. I used to live in Cumbria for a little while. That's why we've got a Cumbrian class still. And basically, he come to the class one day with this. And he said, "Oh, look at this. It's Roman. It's a Roman glass vial." And I said, "Is it? Like for perfume and stuff?" And he found it in his wall. Gilbert found not one of these, but two of these in his wall. And it really interesting. These Roman little glass bottles, an Ingent bottle. So we've got mass manufacture. Now, this thing about mass manufacture of glass, right? And we then go to the Palera, right? We're just thinking, well, you know, ooh, mass manufacture of glass. How much of it got to Britain? When you think about it, if you've got a boat, now the best way to move glass is at sea, right? So if you've got a boat with 10,000 glass objects on it, because they would really stack them full, most of them would have got to the locations intact. So you've got 10,000 bits of glass going from Egypt or Phoenicia, which is the old landscape of Syria, and you've the coast there. And and this then goes to something like Piraeus or Rhodes. So then they offload. So you've got 10,000 objects. So they offload half of them, right? So now you're down to 5,000. So you're going up to sort of along the coast, and your coastal hugging as Roman vessels would have done. By the time it gets to Rome, they've offloaded another 3,000 objects, and then by the time you got to Marseille, there's like 1,000 left. So by the time it gets to, say, Boulogne, you might have 500 bits of glass left, right? Not bits of glass, you know, glass objects. And then they have their bit. By the time you get to Britain, it's like 100 objects of glass. So you can tell by the time it gets to Britain, it's like, oh my God, we've got these these bits of glass, and there's not much left, you know? So, you know, really valuable objects, finding it in a British archaeological context. And by the way, when we do actually find glass in a British archaeological context, it's usually for cremational jars, right? Amazingly enough, the ones in Barry were associated with cremational jars. So secondary production, these chunks were transported and remelted in local furnaces across the empire to be crafted into finished products. Techniques while casting and fusing were used early on. Free blowing became popular going up to the birth of Christ. So obviously the free blowing glass bottle making technique, and there you go, mold blowing, significant development where glass was blown into pre-formed molds, allowing for complex, consistent and patterned shapes. So in other words, a mold itself could be used thousands of times and it'd still be fine, hopefully, unless the glass got stuck in there or something, or the glass blower wasn't that good. So anyway, colour and quality, sort of a bluish green hue or a blue hue. Oh my God, I used to have this girlfriend that I got engaged to, and she was obsessed with Roman blue glass. So I managed to get a Roman blue glass earring, Roman blue glass bracelet and everything, right? And all that came from recycled blue glass, which had actually come from Israel, because they were recycling it back there. So to get the colour, you know, copper and sort of cobalt and sort of all these different things, manganese would give it a clear colour. Here you go. Significance: glass replaced expensive pottery, becoming a common material for everyday items. Not so much in Britain, folks. As well as high-end art due to its low cost and high functionability. But mind you, you could think maybe if there was a single vessel from Israel going all the way to Britain with a full payload, right? Maybe, but surely we would get a lot of glass. But that's not how trade was done back then, because the way trade was done back then, you would coastal hug trade. So in other words, you'd have a box of stuff there, and you'd put another box of stuff on board your boat, and you would trade. That's how it was done, right? So obviously we get when we do find glass in Britain, it's either cremational glass, or it's in a Roman era, or it's like stacks of cullet, which is glass ready to be recycled. And look at that. We will look at this again, and it's a shame. Can I get that? No, I can't get that smaller. But look at that there. You're a cage cup from Cologne. How does it get to Cologne? Well, it's talking about maybe some of the rivers, some of the Black Sea to sort of the Danube, and maybe the Danube to the likes of getting it over to Cologne. Some routes like that. There's some. I got a plan that actually says that there's overland routes, but I'm never really sure about the overland routes. But the Roman roads out of London, Rome were a lot better than anywhere else in the Roman Empire. So there's a nice little bit of a cage work there, absolutely beautiful there, from about 350 AD, 350, right? So we've done that little bit now. So the next one I want to do, right, is hopefully we're going to do this. Well, hopefully this works. Oh yes, it does work, because there's the trade route, and you can get an idea that we've got the glass trade route. And again, this is really, really important to link us in with the Falera. So in other words, you've got a Roman legionary back to the glass Falera and the chest decoration, all associated with Germanicus and Caligula. And Caligula loved his dad so much, it may have been a tribute to his dad that he issued these to his Roman legions, particularly the 22nd Roman legion he founded himself. Caligula founded a Roman legion. If again, I really resent the way that people are wrongly portrayed in history. Richard III is an example, right? He's portrayed as a hunchback, really horrible guy, and he killed his two nephews in the tower, and we're finding out there's all crap, right? So, you know, William Shakespeare, love his work. Obviously, I'm an actor myself, but it's history, isn't it? It's not exactly telling the truth. But the archaeology tells the truth. Now, if somebody said, oh, you know, we're trading glass with Britain from, say, I don't know, Phoenicia, which is where the sort of base of the Eurostars are, and you're thinking, well, okay, let's find the archaeology, and that's what we're doing, the archaeological evidence. So, and that is actually wrong. When it's sort of showing the arrows just going straight, sort of straight out into the central Med, right? Goff and I know full well that the coast off southern Crete, the swell of water is just so intense that you're not going to do that. You're gonna go into the Aegean and sort of calm things down and go to Piraeus. But that's basically the stuff being traded around. So right, the next thing I want to do is the last bit tonight, and I think this has worked a lot better the second half, to be honest with you. Right, it's a game of two halves. The first one was all right anyway. So so the next bit is associated with this site itself, right? And hopefully I can get my notes up. And this is associated with not the legionary fortress, because well, actually we got the legionary fortress. Should we do the legionary fortress at Boulogne? Yes, we shall. Right. So we mentioned the legionary fortress in the likes of. Let me get my words out. Let me get here. We got the stuff for the legionary fortress here. Right, let's just check this in the background and we'll do the lighthouse. Where the legionary fortress is at Boulogne, right, what we've got is archaeological evidence of a great tower, right, a great lighthouse, right? And this, we'll do the Great Lighthouse in a minute. We'll do this as a little bit of a backdrop anyway. So when we talk about Caligula building legionary fortresses and a harbour in northern Gaul, we're really looking for the preparations for his reported invasion of Britain in AD 40, and he built as a tribute to his invasion of Britain a lighthouse. Hang on a minute, what have I just said? If he's built the lighthouse as a tribute to his invasion, right, that's the actual archaeological evidence that we're going to go on to by the end, right? But at Boulogne-sur-Mer, the coastal zone between Boulogne and the Rhine Delta, basically we've got a site known as Gessoracum, right, which is the site of a Roman fortress, right, a massive Roman fortress, which again Caligula built. Right, so it was the main Roman channel port to Britain. Eventually it would be, and obviously at the time of Claudius. Ancient writers place Caligula's British expedition somewhere along this coast, as well as we're looking at the Netherlands, with the archaeological evidence, which we've already talked about from 2021. So, leads me back to that question, right? Why all this stuff happening when there was no Roman invasion of Britain at the time of Caligula in AD 40? So what we've got, the archaeology shows that this locality, right, where this sort of etching is of the wall, right, that is basically where the Caligulan fortress would eventually be. So archaeology shows major military installations at this location. Troop concentrations were present along the Channel coast around AD 40. Large-scale mobilization suggests preparation for a cross-channel operation. Now, what I've also got to think of is this, right? Say I'm wrong. Okay, I'll admit I'm wrong. Say I'm wrong. Okay, he didn't invade Britain, right? Was he actually a failure because he got everything ready and year and a half later Claudius invades. 2 years later Claudius invades, and then basically what we've got is that he'd put everything in place for Claudius to take the glory on the back of what Caligula did, which again is as good as taking the glory for an invasion. So a temporary, more like a permanent legionary fortress at Boulogne itself. Coastal infrastructure was upgraded for embarkations. Supplies and ships were assembled here. And basically we think about the lighthouse, right? So we're gonna talk about the lighthouse. Now, so let's go on to the images of the lighthouse, which there are a few, right? Right, so there we go. You can clearly see the description saying this is what's left of Caligula's lighthouse, and it does not exist today because it's been eroded into the sea and probably blown up in the various wars that we've had, right? So this is a really interesting piece. So I just gotta type something in, okay, and just make sure that my notes come up, and we've got Boulogne. So there we go. Just make sure that that's there. Hang on, I can't spell Boulogne. Boulogne, yeah, Boulogne. Have you ever been to Boulogne, Bill?
No, I haven't, Carl.
So the lighthouse is no longer there. It's gone. It's been completely taken away by the sea. But what they've done, they've erected a they've erected a memorial to this. So, but that's it clearly there in the notes. It's sort of now eroded into the sea. But this is the stuff from the 1600s. It sort of shows that there was this massive lighthouse there once. So an ancient lighthouse was reportedly built at Gessoracum, right, on the northern eastern coast by Caligula between AD 39 and AD 40. And you can get an idea of the substance of this thing. It was a massive solid thing. So this structure is considered by historians to be the earliest recorded lighthouse in what later became known as France. So the absolute nut job Caligula built this, right? The first lighthouse in France. You know, it doesn't say much about the historians, to be honest with you. The historians actually tell us that this pharos that was built by Caligula obviously was built by Caligula in France, right? His purpose was to guide ships entering the port on the English Channel, especially those linked to Rome's planned campaigns across the sea, right? Now, this is really, really interesting stuff. So, 1 minute, okay, faff the historians, but Suetonius is slagging Caligula off, saying, oh, you know, he collected shells on the beach. But again, Suetonius is writing 80 years after the death of Caligula, as we mentioned last week. But he does say that Caligula built this tower, this huge lighthouse, right? And I can give you an idea what it may have looked like from the Dover Pharos that exist even still today. It's the tallest thing that we've got. So ancient sources like the Roman historians Suetonius claim Caligula ordered the construction of a fire-lit tower during his brief and tumultuous reign. He allegedly even declared war on the sea at Boulogne, and then had his troops collect seashells as spoils, installing a great lighthouse atop the tower as a navigational beacon as a tribute to conquering Britain in AD 40, right? Now, again, there it is. It's loads of people have actually in history sort of recorded this, and there was a lot more of it in 1644, which we'll tell you about in a moment. Right, so the structure came to be known as Tour de Ord. Tour de Ord basically mean the Tour de Or, or the Tour of Caligula, and reputedly dominated the high cliff above the port. Huge. It was a huge thing. Massive. Huge. Much bigger than the one surviving in Dover, by the way. And by the way, I know, he's looking at the computer now, knowing that he's seen on the news this week, haven't you, Henry, that they do believe they found bits of the Alexandria lighthouse in Alexandria Harbour in last week. Yes, you are dead right. So what happened to this? So we've got the archaeology here, right? It's got really exciting at the end, haven't it? So what we've got there with the archaeology there is that for centuries it was a Boulogne landmark. It was restored in medieval times by Charlemagne, so that's probably you know medieval work really. However, it started to substantially fall off the cliff in 1644, and the ancient lighthouse ultimately is no longer there today. Little to none of the original structure is visible today, but what they've done, amazing enough, the French are bloody weird, aren't they? But they've done a sort of a bit of a weak reconstruction. Hang on, well, where's the reconstruction? Oh, I think we've got it. Anyway, there it is. There's Boulogne there. There it is. That reddish bit there. And what we've got, apparently it looked like that. Why not? So why not? So the modern lighthouse at Boulogne-sur-Mer, the current one, is apparently it marks the entrance to the port, but is distinct from Caligula's ancient tower, whose location was on the higher cliff above the older harbour area. So in other words, the one of Caligula was probably more outstandingly built than the one built in 1968. So loving that, and we're just thinking, wow, this was built by a nut job. Now that is the one in Dover, right? And it's next door to the church. There's, strangely enough, that's nothing like that, right? It's really nothing like that. It's slightly different built, right? So but that one at Dover, there's two at Dover. One's now used as a gateway into the castle, right? And this is the one at the back of the church. And it's I've done a video on this. It's a wonderful structure, the one at Dover, right? So you know, you never know. One day I might do an excursion, right? And I'll make sure that Bill's fully aware of where we're staying this time. But anyway, so shut up, Bill. So yeah, so
oh dear, I could write a book. I could write a book.
Say no more, Bill, right? But the one thing I wanted to say is that I think maybe if I articulate this lightly, so the lighthouse at Dover itself, the ones that survive today Roman fabric lighthouses. They're the tallest Roman structures in Britain, right? And to be honest with you, if I said none about the written history of the lighthouse at Dover and just did the archaeology, that's a big lecture in itself, because that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do with sites that Bill wants to know about with Egaer and so on, right? But the point is that the one at Dover, right, is very small in comparison with the one that Caligula had built. Looking at that, right, that's just a small base of it, right, and it's all gone now. But if Charlemagne repaired it and stuff, but coming to the end really tonight, and we're thinking, right, you know, it overlooked the old harbour, which is much further up, and basically, was it like this? Look at that, huge, isn't it? So if it probably not like this, but if it was anything like the one at Alexandria, it would have been sort of about 8 tiers, not sort of, I don't know how many tiers that is, but it would be about 8 solid stone tiers. And it survived for a very, very long time. And it basically says one thing, that Caligula's landmark not only outlived the Roman Empire that once derided him, it outlived the Holy Roman Empire. It sort of lived, the tower lived for a very, very long time as a memorial to this Roman emperor who's been so derided in history. I'm hopefully next week we're gonna complete the Caligula thing, and then we're just gonna do the little bit to Claudius, not looking at any history, looking at archaeological evidence, maybe some more coin stuff and so on. But I just wanted to sort of show you this, to sort of give you an idea. So what they're saying with this is basically the La Tour de Ord, which is basically means the Tower of Caligula, right? That's the French name, de Ord, Caligula, or Caius. We're talking about the lighthouse there and the fort associated with Caligula, and various descriptions of this. And you start to think that there's something really odd when you look at history. So I had that made up today. Doesn't that look absolutely brilliant? I absolutely love that. That's our little symbol for the classes going forward. And I would like to say that we're all Roman now. So basically I've got a Facebook page now, which is just going to be looking at Roman stuff. I've got my YouTube daily posting about Roman stone remains around Britain. We got this Roman stuff here, and hopefully that's onwards and upwards and more to say. So, well, that's me done tonight. So we're gonna. It's now 9:09. So hopefully that's been a good old belt of stuff tonight. So let's just see. We'll start off with Billis. What would you like to say?
A nice mix tonight, Carl, of Roman and animal archaeology. But could you go back to the image of Caligula, the coin? Just a couple of questions on that.
Well, the one we just saw then?
Yes, that one.
Okay, it's a good one to do, to be honest with you. Let's just go back to let's go back to the screen, and we might be able to get it straight away. I think so. Maybe if we give it a couple of seconds. Oh, there it is.
Right. Where is it? Scroll down. There we are. Stop there. Okay. 2 comments. Obviously, he carries the name of Augustus as well. Yeah, which I didn't know.
Yes.
AVG.
Yes.
Okay. All the coins I've seen have got IMP on it. Imperato. That one hasn't. Is that a real coin, or is it a reproduction of what they think it looked like? Because it's such good condition. It can't be original. That particular one.
Well, actually, that's not too far off the ones that you can find. So if I get you, if I type in Caligula coin, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm trying to get rid of my collections of lots of things now, but if I ever came into any money, Bill, thanks, Bill. I would actually collect Caligula coins. Now, this is there it is. There's a nice one there. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, bugger. Hang on. Right. So if we do that there. So basically what you can see clearly is if we
Caesar, Germanicus.
let's do an annotation. So you see the C there, that's actually got the Caius.
Yeah.
Right. So
Caius,
there is so
Caesar,
basically
Pon.
you've got Germanicus, right?
After Germanicus, you've got Pon.
You've got VS Pon MTRPOT, which I don't know, right? But if we get rid of that and we look at, hang on, let's stop that there, and we look at another annotation of a coin, which has obviously got this is another annotation.
Yeah.
Which you've got the Caius, Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus. You don't have Imperator on there, Imperator.
No.
And also this is quite a famous one, right? This is you've got Germanic. Yeah, this is another Caius example. So you've got within his very short reign, you've got all these different coins. And actually lots of these have the C on them. So these have been lost before. If you were found with any of these, with Caius on them, you would have been in trouble. So anyway, so does that help, Bill?
Yeah, it helps, Carl. Because on the coins I've got, on the reverse side, it seems to be a little image of Vesta or Diana, one of the goddesses. On the ones I've got, anyway, the three.
Oh, right, yeah. You see your point. Yeah. So next week, I see your point. Next week we're going to be looking at more coins to do with Caligula, and on lots of coins to do with Caligula. He did a homage to his dad. So you would have Caligula on the one side and you'd have Germanicus on the back, because technically for Caligula, Germanicus was a god, but he wasn't, because Germanicus never became an emperor. But on the death of an emperor like Claudius, they become gods, but Caligula didn't.
No, okay, Carl. Thank you. I'm done. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Goff.
Oh, no questions. Very good. Thank you.
Good. What about we'll do Richard, and then we'll good old Dick. Let's have a bit from you, Dick.
Oh, very interesting.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. And we've had a bit of controversy on our Barry Museum's Facebook page this week, and don't ask. It's definitely been fun. Right. Henry, anything you'd like to say, darling?
Roman lighthouse, Torre de Hercules in La Cruna is the oldest standing Roman lighthouse, dating to the 1st century.
We gotta look at that quickly. I'm sorry, guys, we gotta look at that. I'm excited by this. Come on. I want you to now, guys. Don't go yet. We gotta have a little look at this one. I'm excited by that. Anything like that, right? So you had to leave that to the end, didn't you? Right. So what's the spelling? So
Torre.
P-O-R.
No, T for Tommy.
T-O-R-E. Yeah.
D-E.
Yeah.
Hercules.
H-E-R-C-U-L-E-S.
We
got it. Oh, all right. It does look Roman.
It's a UNESCO site. It has been augmented, but I think the bottom 30 meters of it is meant to be original Roman masonry underneath.
Oh wow! It does look Roman, actually. Do you know? It looks like some of the reconstructions that we've just mentioned with Caligula's. It does look like that. And just have one more image. Oh, hang on. Let's just look at there. Oh wow, that is really exciting, Bill. That reminds us of that Bill stayed at the Camelot Hotel with me twice in Cornwall, and that reminds us of the Camelot Hotel, doesn't it, Bill?
Does it?
It does.
I don't think it does. Nothing like it.
Doesn't have a lift.
Well, you didn't get in the lift in the Camelot Hotel, but
Didn't have a
particularly
lift.
they did, didn't they?
I was there 2 years ago, Carl, actually. The Camelot. Yeah.
Did you go and stay in the? Did you go and see the art exhibition in the attic where with the most famous artist in the world?
Just called in, had a coffee, a look around. That was it. Yeah. For old times' sake. Yeah.
Did it bring back memories?
It did. Good memories as well. The only time you actually joined us for breakfast on that trip.
That's because I stuffed my bag full of food from the doodah. Yeah, exactly.
Probably. Okay.
Okay then, folks. Anything anyone else wants to say before we finish?
Good night.
Well, okay then.
Good
It's been great. So, I'll say good night to Bill, Goff, Richard, and Henry, and I'll see you all next Tuesday or Wednesday. Next Wednesday. Take care, guys. Night. Don't forget my book, Romans in South Wales, in front of you next week. Bye. Bill's already got 4 copies, haven't you, Bill? Have you got a copy of the book, Henry?
I don't know.
Oh, look, now, have you got a copy or not? Because I'll just send you one in the post.
Is that the one with West Glamorgan or Glamorgan?
Fucking South, right? It's the one that I'll show it to you now. Stay there. right. Stay there. That one there.
Let's have a look. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the same edition.
Well, there's 3 editions, but this is. Oh yeah, the page numbers all changed, didn't they? So it's got to be the.
Mine's got no edition number on it.
Oh, you might have the first one.
Uh-oh.
Do you know the first one is so rare I don't even have a copy of it? Oh, right. Okay. Do you want one of these? Because we'll send you one.
Oh, it'd be very kind of you.
And don't mention it. Don't mention it.
So you like my Northern Spain lighthouse?
Hey, it was Northern Spain, was it? I thought it was Southern Spain.
No, it's La Cruna. It's on the very top of Northern Spain.
Bloody on the Bay of Biscay. That must be bloody windy.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
What, the Bay of Biscay and the ship sinking down?
The lighthouse. It's well worth seeing.
Yeah, it did. On a serious note, it's sort of we stayed in the Camelot Hotel at least twice on our excursions, and it was just like it reminded me of the Camelot Hotel because that's just on the top of a cliff, and it's just like we've got some stories about the Camelot Hotel which are really odd.
Was it a very faulty towers-ish?
You've been there then, have you?
No.
No, that it is faulty towers, and it was like, I think the last time when I say the last time we stayed there, it was the last time because we'd stayed there about 2 years before and it was fine. Everyone loved it. So the next time we stayed there, it was the same experience. And they basically said, you're paying for bed and breakfast. And we said, yeah, right, that was it. So I paid for the bed and breakfast. And I wandered out into... I wandered out and I stayed I was in the minibus, right? And I was in the minibus for a little bit longer than I wanted to, right? And I could hear somebody having an argument with somebody in the foyer. And they said, well, and one of somebody come out to the bus and say, they have told us that we are to pay separately for the breakfasts. I said, I've already paid for the breakfasts. And I just thought this was so odd. So I told everybody not to pay for the breakfast because I've already paid for them. Apparently, there was a surcharge on the breakfasts. That something along the lines of the person booking paid for the breakfast for everybody, but individually you had to pay a surcharge individually for your component of the breakfast. And that's why we never stayed there again.
Are they still in business?
Yeah, they are. That's the problem. Oh, can you remember Pete? Yeah. Big Pete, he passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah,
yeah.
Really outspoken. He Barry guy, we loved him to bits. Anyway, Pete's a Cornwall guy, right? And I remember going to his funeral, and the family said, "Turn up with a Cornish flag." So I did, and I said, "I'll turn up with a Jinxter's pasty," because he absolutely hated Jinxter's pasty. So I said to the family, "I'll eat the Jinxter's pasty in his funeral." I did. They all laughed. They loved that. But anyway, Pete was so into Cornwall, right? When he sat down in a dinner hall, he said he was really like this, right? And he said, "And why haven't you got anyone in here that's from Cornwall? They're all bloody," I think he said, "they're all foreigners." And I thought, oh my God, this is beyond anything I would say. This is so, they're all foreigners. He was going, why have you got all foreigners serving food? And I thought, oh, no, I thought I was bad. This was bad.
Anyway, you had a wonderful time.
Yeah, we did actually. We had a lovely time. Mind you, the second time we went to Cornwall, he didn't come with us. So, mind you, we didn't stay at the Camelot Hotel, so that's a shame.
Right. Well, enjoy yourself.
What, at the Camelot Hotel? I'm not going there again. I don't think I'd be allowed through the door.
Well, you need to go out and make sure your sheep are all wearing woolly coats.
Oh, it's bloody cold, isn't it? You know, it's bloody cold. It's really cold tonight, and the problem is we're coming into lambing in the next 2 weeks, and I'm just a bit worried that it's too cold.
We've already got lambs down here.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, but we haven't got them here yet. So, I was saying to Michelle, I was saying, why am I seeing lambs everywhere? But the other farmer hasn't got lambs, and we haven't got lambs yet. So, we will hopefully have lambs soon.
Maybe they're holding off for the warm spell.
Well, actually, our sheep are highly intelligent. They are intelligent sheep. It's just that we've actually got orders for sheep fleeces already, and it's like, can I have your fleece, please? And they just they seem to run across the field. They seem to run away from me.
Right, I'll leave you to it.
Yeah. I think that's called abuse. Anyway,
Have a good one.
I will get you a copy of this book, and the reason why I can get you a copy of the book is we're sending. I think we've had an order from someone recently, so we'll send it out with that as well. So anyway,
well, enjoy yourself.
You enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, look forward to it, and I'll come up with some more oddities for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. They were good. They liked them. Bill liked them anyway. Anyway, night.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was a good chat. I don't know if anyone's been with us, but I wanted to say that we will not be doing full full classes on YouTube now, and I've got to try and see if I can get this online now, if anyone's there. I was going to start to do live stuff, but I don't see the point because not many people join me on here, right? There's not many people online, really. It's just I've got this now, right? I've got this, right? And there's not a single comment in the live chat. I'm talking to myself. Anyway, I was going to start to do live stuff, but so you can hear me there. People join me on here, right? There's not many. Actually, that's quite a good picture, to be honest, isn't it? It's just I've got this now, right? I've got this, right? Spare a thought for the refugees. Right, nothing in the chat box 1. In the live chat. Nothing in the chat box 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, I was going to start to do live stuff, but so you can hear me there. People join me on here, right? Echoes. Actually, that's Diolch yn fawr chi anyway. Nos da, guys. Live chat. There's nothing in the live chat. Okay, night, guys. Nothing there 1, nothing there 2, nothing there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And one more, nothing in that box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nos da, diolch yn fawr chi. No, no.